Uh, this is a post commentary for my recent world record in FireRed Elite 4 Round 2, or FireRed Round 2 for short. It's a long category, so I'm just going to get started with the video and talk over the intro. I'm also going to play most of this video at 1.5 times speed. I'll slow it down for certain relevant parts. This is a very long run with a lot of downtime, so I'm just going to keep it sped up for the most part. Save us all some time. So, first things first, we name our self and our rival a one-character name. This is very common in Pokemon speedruns. We do this to minimize the amount of text. You see right there, I check my trainer card. That lets me look at the my trainer ID, which is the same as the RNG seed for our first trick of the run, which is RNG manipulation, which is also the only instance of RNG manipulation in this run. The way the RNG manipulation works is by checking the trainer ID and seeing our RNG seed, we can get a list of every Squirtle that will ever appear from now until the end of time. And then we can filter through that list to find only the really good Squirtles. And then go for those. It's a frame-perfect manip, and it is also random. Because all the NPCs on the screen, every time they move, they advance the RNG, and sometimes they can move without giving any visual indication. They can move while you're off screen, or they can spin to the direction they're already looking, and so there's no visual cue for that, but that does still advance the RNG. So there's randomness in that, and then on top of that, it's frame perfect. This game runs at 60 FPS, so that's about 17 milliseconds that you have to hit. This trick is a huge barrier for starting the run. But by virtue of this run having gotten world record, obviously we got it. You can see the Squirtle stats at the bottom left of the screen. Oh, well, I just changed them to something else right now, but I'm sure I'll change them back in a second. Any second now. No? Okay. Well, okay, there we go. So these are the stats of the Squirtle that I got. Every RNG seed has different Squirtles. You just hit whatever is available to you. This Squirtle is a modest nature, which is plus a 10% boost to special attack and a 10% decrease in physical attack. Then the IVs are 27, 27, 31, 31, 10, 26. So this thing has perfect special attack, which is basically required for the speed run. We filter for that. Very good speed, which we also filter for. And then very, very good HP and defense, mediocre special defense, and a good attack IV, but the minus attack nature ruins that. You saw me on the way up. I probably killed something. I killed two things. We need to kill one thing on Route 1 to get enough experience for the experience route to work. And then, because I'm modest, I will also kill a second thing, because that will make the fight in Viridian, not Viridian, yes, Viridian Forest. It'll make that fight easier if I kill a second thing. So yeah, I guess I'll just really quickly explain what this category is for people who don't know. This category is called FireRed Elite 4 Round 2. What that means is we need to beat... Oh, did I not change the title? Whoops. Almost forgot to save that. There we go. Alright, yeah. There we go. What Elite 4 Round 2 means is we want to beat the harder version of the Elite Four. Once we beat the Elite Four the first time, we can actually fight them again where they have a stronger team. And the goal of this category is to beat that second harder version of the Elite Four. You see here I killed, it was where I got my experience. Apparently I didn't get any encounters on my first pass, but I killed some things here. So yeah, we want to fight the harder version of the Elite Four. In order to unlock that, we need to do a few things. First, we have to beat the Elite Four for the first time. But then we also need to do some post-game stuff, because if you didn't know, this game has a post-game on the Sevi Islands, which are the unique thing added to this game from the original generation. So we need to, after we beat the Elite Four, we need to go to the Sevi Islands and kind of clear out the remnants of Team Rocket. And once we do that, we'll unlock the harder version of the Elite Four. In order to unlock the Sevi Islands, we need to have the National Pokedex, which requires catching 60 unique Pokemon in the Pokedex. And that's where the really unique part of this category comes from. We need to find the most efficient way possible to get 60 Pokemon registered in our Pokedex. And so that presents a really interesting routing challenge of how can we do that efficiently? And it turns out the answer is we really don't want to spend our time catching wild Pokemon. Obviously, catching wild Pokemon is the most obvious way to get Pokemon in your Pokedex. It is also basically the worst. We try to avoid it as much as possible. But, of course, we will have to catch some wild Pokemon, and that makes up a huge portion of the RNG of the run. Right now, we're in Viridian Forest. This is the only place in the game where you can catch Caterpie and Weedle, not counting Route 2, but the same area, basically. So we are going to, if we encounter Caterpie and Weedle while we're here, we're going to catch them, because they're easy things to catch. And what's really important about them is they're really easy to evolve. So just by catching one of them, we effectively get 3 Pokemon in our Pokedex. You can see at the bottom of the screen is a Pokemon tracker. This just helps me keep track of which Pokemon I've already caught and which I will catch in the future. You see I have a bunch of them marked already. These are the ones that I will always end up getting at some point. We'll get to that later. But yeah. Right now we got a fairly standard good forest. We got both of our bugs. If we don't get both of the bugs now, we come back later to get them when they're easier to catch. But it's best to get both bugs while you're here the first time so you don't have to backtrack. Which we did. There's also a 5% chance to encounter a Pikachu in this forest. And early Pikachu at that 5% saves about a minute in this category. It is extremely powerful for this route, but it's really rare. So it's, you really hope for it, but most runs don't get it. This run does not get it. Right now, we're doing the Sammy fight. This is why we killed 2 things, is to get level 7 and unlock Bubble for this Weedle. Also to use Bubble to help catch things in Forest. I got poisoned, and you see I'm not healing it off. There's a couple reasons for that. First of all, if I heal it off, I'm very likely to just get poisoned again, so it's better just to wait until after the fight. But more importantly, is Squirtle's ability. For those who don't know, Gen 3 added abilities, and Squirtle's ability in this game is Torrent. And what that means is if you're under a third of your maximum HP, you get a 50% boost to the damage of your water moves. It is insanely powerful, and we take huge advantage of that in this run. And the first place we take advantage of it is Brock's Gym, right here. If you don't have Torrent, this gym takes at minimum 8 turns. With Torrent, you can do it in as few as 5. And that's, like, these are, 8 is best case. Without Torrent. Oftentimes it's more turns. So just at minimum, you're saving 3 turns by being in Torrent, and you're usually saving more. Unfortunately, I'm actually gonna slow this down here for a second. Is this not? Unfortunately, we got scratched for that Sandshrew, which is like, wait, that's good. You're in Torrent. Now you're in Deeper Torrent. That's good, right? The problem is this Onyx right here. So Brock is a major pain point in this category and in the any percent category. Because you need Torrent to be able to one-shot it, and we need to keep Torrent for the route after this, so we need to be at low health. But the problem is the Onyx is faster than us, and knows Rock Tomb, which does a lot of damage. So we can't be too low going into this fight, otherwise Onyx will just kill us. So you see here, I'm forced to Potion, which is not ideal. He uses Rock Tomb. But you see how much damage that did. I was only at 5 HP. And now I'm going to try to stall to get my HP down as low as possible from leaving this fight. Because just like Torrent saves at least 3 turns in this gym, it also saves like 5 or 6 turns on Route 3. So it's really important that you keep Torrent for this section. So Torrent is a blessing and a curse. It's really useful, but especially in the early game, it's really hard to get through it while still keeping good Torrent. Right here, we level up to level 13 and learn Water Gun. Water Gun is going to be the move that carries us through this next split. We're basically only going to use Water Gun for the entirety of the next split. Yeah, at this point, Torrent would be 12 HP or lower. But the problem is when you level up, your ratio of current HP to max HP climbs. So you generally need to be a good amount lower than a third, so that when you level up, you stay in Torrent and you don't level out of it. But we made it past Brock, which is the first major roadblock of the run. Now, we're going to go into this mart and buy some stuff. First, we sell Rock Tomb. We're not going to need it, and the money's more valuable. And then we're going to buy a couple Pokeballs, because we used a bunch of them in Forest. We're going to buy potions, antidotes, paralyze heals, awakenings, an escape rope, and then some repels. And so basically, the way this route works is we do all of our shopping right here, so that we can skip some shopping later. The downside is we only get 3 potions, which is pretty low. You usually want more than 3 potions in your inventory, but we'll make do. And now we get to Route 3. The way Route 3 works is if you're in Torrent, everything on here dies in 1 shot. If you're not in Torrent, then most things are 2 shots. And there are 6 Pokemon on this route. No, yes, 6 Pokemon that are 2 shots without Torrent and 1 shot with Torrent. And the other 3 are all ranges. So it is hugely important that you get Torrent for this section. And so you see we level up there and we're still in Torrent. Which is really nice. We are going to lose Torrent at level 15, but that only loses 1.5 turns on average. So it's not a huge deal. It's actually less than 1.5 turns on average. It's like a tiny bit more than 1. But yeah, for now we're just going to be using Water Gun. And we're about to go into Route 3, and we want to catch a Spearow. You see on my catch track that Spearow is already marked. Spearow is a really important Pokemon. You can't leave the early game without it. And the reason for that is in Vermilion City, there's an in-game trade where you give up a Spearow and get a Farfetch'd in return. And one, on top of in-game trades being really good, because they're just a free extra poke to get us towards our 60, they also... Farfetch'd is also important because it can learn both Cut and Fly. Both of which are really valuable. And so by having one Pokemon in our party that can learn both those moves, it frees up other party slots for other Pokemon that we might want in our party later. You see we do get Spearow here. It's a 35% encounter in this grass. If we don't get it here, we can also get it on Route 4, which is after Mount Moon. But it's nice just to get it as your first thing here. Other things you can catch in this grass are a Pidgey, a Mankey, and a Jigglypuff. There are also male Nido and female Nido. You generally don't want to catch those. You can catch female Nido, but it's not great. Right here, we get the Joke Magikarp, which is actually just the best thing in the entire game. I wish we could buy every Pokemon for $500. It would make this category so much simpler. Nope, it's just Magikarp. I also farm for a Zubat here. The reason for that is, one, I wanted to take a bit more damage to get better Torrent for this next section. Torrent, very important. And two, if we don't get Zubat here, the only other place in the route where it's possible to get a Zubat is Victory Road, which is only a 10% encounter. So if you don't get it here, you're pretty unlikely to get a Zubat at all. And Zubat's an easy catch, so it's a good thing to get early. Most things, you're going to see, I'm basically done with catching for like an hour and a half. that Zubat is the last thing I'm actually going to catch for a very long time. And that's because we only have Pokeballs right now. Pokeballs, not great for catching things. So what we're going to do is we're going to get through a lot of the game until we can buy Ultra Balls. And then we're going to start doing all of our catches. But until then, we've got our Spearow, which is the important thing. We've got both our Bugs and Forest, which is nice. And now we're gonna wait until Ultra Balls, basically, to get the rest of our stuff. We're going to do a couple other things. We're going to do an in-game trade for Farfetch'd. We're going to pick up an Eevee in Celadon City. We're not going to catch any wild Pokemon for a very long time. Mount Moon. Pick up a couple items. Rare Candy and Escape Rope. We're going to use a lot of rare candies in this run. We use 5 rare candies on our Squirtle, and then we use another 5 for evolving wild things. Right there, you saw me walk up to that trainer, pause, and then walk past him. That's called a run to walk, or with a pause buffer. The way spinners work is they can spin in a random direction every 32 frames. So as long as you can walk past a spinner in that 32 frame window, they can't see you. And so what the pause did is I paused right after it was possible for him to spin. I saw that he didn't spin, and because of that, I knew it was not possible for him to spin for another 32 frames. It only takes 16 frames to walk a tile. So, I knew it was safe from there. These fights are not very interesting, we're just spamming Water Gun. A lot of things die in one shot. Hey, useful crit. That only dies with a crit, it's a 2-shot without a crit. These other 2 things are damage ranges. And coming up is the Misty fight. So the way Misty works is both of her Pokemon are 2-shot ranges. Yeah, I got very lucky on this fight. Critting the Grimer and then getting both damage ranges. Perfect fight. The way the Misty fight works is both of her Pokemon are 2-shot ranges. And they both know Water Pulse. Water Pulse is a move that's 20% to confuse you, and getting confused is really bad. Loses a lot of time. I don't remember if I got Prism or not. I probably didn't, because I'm modest. But yeah, Prism Berry would help with the confusion, but the way it works is Misty actually has AI. So she's going to choose the move which, in general, does the most damage. So if her Starmie has 2 moves that she can use, Swift and Water Pulse. If Swift does more damage, she will use Swift. If Water Pulse does more damage, she will use Water Pulse. Sort of. You saw me right there go into the center and deposit some stuff. I deposited my Squirtle and then took it back out, and then deposited a lot of the rest of my party. Putting the Squirtle in and taking it back out heals it to full, so I don't have to use potions to heal it up. Which is nice, because I don't have very many potions. And then we deposited the rest of the party because we don't need them in our party. I kept the Spearow in the party, because we're going to trade that for Farfetch'd in a little bit. And I kept the Bug, because that Bug is going to stay in our party for like 2 hours. And then we're finally going to get to a point where we can start evolving it. But it's just, we only need 3 spots in our party for other stuff that we want in our party. So I can afford to keep the Bug in there for now. And I'll talk about the stuff we keep later. Here's the Starmie. That first bite roll did like a little less than half. And if you miss the range with the second bite, she super potions. So to avoid that, I used a Tackle, which does not put the Starmie in heal range. And so we're past Misty now. Didn't get confused. Right here, Misty gives us the TM for Water Pulse, which is an absolutely insane TM to have at this point in the game. We're going to immediately teach it to our Wartortle. Water Pulse is 60 base power, 20% to confuse. And it is powered up by Stab, same type attack bonus. Our Squirtle gets a 50% boost to water moves because it's a water type. and then it would get another 50% boost every time we're in Torrent. So Water Pulse is really, really powerful. This fight sucks. First is the Pidgeotto. It knows Sand Attack. Sand Attack is really bad. Also knows Quick Attack, which can put you in an annoying spot. And then what really sucks is this this Bulbasaur, which knows a lot of annoying moves. Luckily, we got the flinch with Bite, so it didn't even get a chance to put us to sleep. It knows Vine Whip, which does a lot of damage, Sleep Powder, which stalls. We have to use an Awakening to heal it off. And then Leech Seed, which is really bad, and then Poison Powder is super rare. But we got a really good rival. We flinched with Bite, so we didn't have to do anything, and then we had to hit Mega Kick. Mega Kick we got before Misty. It is 120 base power. It is an extremely powerful move, but it is only 75% accurate. It is the most painful thing in existence to use in this route. And we need to use it because our Squirtle has no good way to deal with Oddishes or Bulbasaurs. That's basically what we need it for. Our Squirtle really struggles with grass types. And you're going to see very soon how painful Mega Kick is to use in this route at 75% accurate. This section is not a lot happens. Just we one-shot almost everything. But coming up is the first Oddish of the run. You'll see we hit the Mega Kick on Bulbasaur. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Not gonna hit another one for a while. Every single Oddish in the run, we have to Mega Kick because they're too bulky. Except for this one Oddish, which not even Mega Kick kills, so we have to two-shot it. And we're also gonna have to Mega Kick Bulbasaurs and Ivysaurs. And there are a couple Raticates we have to kick as well. It's really annoying. Mega Kick miss. Used Absorb, put me in Torrent. I switched to Bite because if he absorbed again, it gave me good HP for the next section. It also, if I flinched, it was also good, and if I crit, it was also good. But of course, I get the only bad outcome, which is Sweet Scent. The reason is I wanted to keep Torrent for level 25, which would let me not have to kick something. But we got Sweet Scent, which was unfortunate. We're just going to one-shot things for a while. We're in Torrent, which means we can Water Gun things instead of Water Pulse. So that's nice, but it doesn't really matter at this section. This is a pretty slow section of the run. Aside from the few Mega Kicks you have to hit, you're just one-shotting everything here. And for now, we're kind of just going to be playing the game, you know, just kind of getting all the stuff out of the way. So we're going to Bill in order to get access to the SSN. We're then going to go to the SSN. We're actually going to delay search until later. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Go through Rock Tunnel, clear out the Rocket Hideout. Do the Lavender Tower. Just kind of playing through the game without doing any of the catching stuff. As I said, catching stuff won't happen for another hour of game time or so. So right here, after this next fight, you actually have a choice of two trainers. You can fight Hiker Wayne, who has an Onix, or you can fight Hiker Franklin, who has two Pokemon, a Geodude and a Machop. You might think, well, the obvious answer is, well, just fight the one with only one Pokemon, right? And you're correct in any percent, but for the way this experience route works out, if you fight Wayne, you actually end up fighting an extra Pokemon from a different trainer choice later in Rock Tunnel. Wayne is still a little bit faster, but it doesn't matter that much. I make a misplay here. I should have fought Franklin if I'm running around right here to get a bit of extra experience for now before it evens out later. It's the choice basically depends on how much experience you have for this mid-game section, early mid-game. I made a misplay because I was tilted. I fought Wayne. I should have fought Franklin. Right here, you saw me do some funky movement. That was to avoid the spinner seeing me while still being safe. Same idea. I paused. I knew he couldn't spin. And then I did a run to force him to look in a certain direction. because trainers can hear you running. Then I walked past him when I knew it was safe. The reason fighting Franklin would have been better is because if you fight Franklin, the hiker with 2 Pokemon instead of only 1, you get level 25 for this next fight instead of only being level 24 for the Oddish, but more importantly, you get level 29 for the Bulbasaur in Rock Tunnel. And that matters because that Bulbasaur is a range. I have really bad attack, so that Bulbasaur doesn't always die. But if I fought Franklin, it would have been about a 14 and 16 range instead of like a 10 and 16 or something like that. It's much better if you fight Franklin for those odds. Now look at this. Mega Kick Miss. Sweet scent. Mega Kick Miss. Sweet scent. Mega Kick Miss. So on this split, you have 5 PP for Mega Kick. I missed 4 of them on this route. So yeah, I was really tilted at this point. Because you see, I had a really good Misty there. Well, sort of. It was a good Misty, but splits are kind of irrelevant in this category because, you know, if you have caught less Pokemon at that point, your time's going to be better, and if you caught more Pokemon, your time's going to be worse. But, you know, it evens out later, so kind of doesn't matter. But it was still a good Misty time, and I lose almost a full minute on the Bill split, because I couldn't hit a kick to save my life. I had a good rival fight, but my kick luck after that was so bad. I lose, what, 35-ish seconds. But it's actually more than that, because I also lose time on this following split. I actually might get the range on Drowsy. I think I do, actually. But anyway, yeah, that was a really bad split for me, because I missed all the kicks except for 1. Anyway, this fight, the Drowsy is normally another thing you would kick, but I don't have any kicks right now, so I'm going to Water Pulse it instead, which is only a 3 and 16 range to kill it, compared to 75% for Water Pulse, or for Mega Kick to kill. I do get the Water Pulse range, which is nice. There is an Ether you can pick up to the right of Bill's house to recover your kicks, but I'm going to recover my kicks in Vermilion anyway. So there's I would be healing my Mega Kicks just to kick Drowsy, basically, and that's not worth it. It's better just to two-shot the Drowsy in that situation. If you're not in Torrent, you have to kick this Raticate, but because I am in Torrent, I can just Water Pulse it, and we're good. And then we're going to go onto the boat. We're going to sleep in the bed on boat to heal up all of our Pokemon and get our PP back. We're going to fight Boat Rival, and then we're going to keep going from there. If I had caught a Pikachu in Forest, I would have went into the Pokemon Center and done my party management there instead of Cerulean. And the reasoning for that is complicated, and I'll get to it later. But basically the route diverges whether or not you get a Pikachu in Forest or not. And if you do happen to get the Pikachu in Forest, like I said, it saves about a minute. But I'll talk about that after Rock Tunnel. A little bit before Rock Tunnel, actually. This fight, two-shot the Pidgeotto. Crit but missed the range. That's unlucky. Rival actually could have swapped into Ivysaur there, which would have been really good, but no such luck here. And then we have to kick this Ivysaur twice, actually, because our attack is bad. With a good attack, you can actually bite it. Bite plus kick will kill, because our attack is bad, because minus attack nature. I had to kick it twice, and yeah, I hit both of them, so, you know, not too bad. And then I two-shot the Raticate. Your kick PP is pretty valuable. I didn't want to burn another kick on this fight, because I want to save him for the next section. And also I wanted to take damage from the Raticate. He's very likely to Hyperfang. So I just two-shot it with Water Gun. We get cut here. And now, the obvious thing to do here is to go fight Surge. But if we were to fight Surge right now, it would actually be the single most dangerous fight in the entire run. Surge is extremely likely to kill you when you fight it right now, because you're basically at level with his Pokemon. His Raichu hurts a lot, and it loves to spam Double Team on top of that, so you're just missing your moves. However, if we delay Surge and come back later, it's a free fight. So that's what I'm going to do. It loses, I don't know, 20-ish seconds on average. It's complicated. It's definitely slower to delay Surge, but it's way safer. And with the time I was going for, I knew I was able to delay Surge, and I could still get the time I wanted. So I did. Right there was the trade for Spearow for Farfetch'd. We have our Farfetch'd now, so we're going to teach it Cut and Fly a bit later. We get the Bike Voucher here, because using the bike is pretty fast. Well, mess up my movement a bit there, but don't hit an optional. That's good. Pick up a hidden rare candy right here. Can use even more rare candies on our Squirtle later. Experience bout is very tight for this category, and this route specifically. We just barely get enough experience so that we can rare candy up to level 36 right before Giovanni. So we don't fight Surge, we go here and get the bike, and now we're going to go to Rock Tunnel. The downside to delaying Surge is what lets you use Fly outside of battle. So because we haven't fought Surge, we can't use Fly yet until we go back and fight him. And so that's what the really annoying thing about delaying Surge is, not being able to use Fly. Getting Teleport from Abra is going to help with that, but it's still slower. Right here is an Oddish, so we kick it. Bellsprout, luckily, is not as tanky as Oddish. This Bellsprout is a 12 and 16 range to Dynabite, which we do get. And we kick another Oddish. The thing about this run is I missed 4 kicks on the Bill split, but then I think I hit every kick after that. So I might miss one more. I can't remember. Right here is what's called a run to bike. To get past that spinner, you run to force the trainer to look towards you, and then you bike past them. They can't hear you on the bike. So as long as you're fast enough with it, it's a 100% safe pass. And then just coming about a couple more things here. Can't one-shot the Venonat, unfortunately, so I'm going to two-shot it with Bite. I get Poison Powder, which is actually really good here, because I want to be in Torrent for this upcoming section. But I don't want to be too low, otherwise I can die to the Slowpokes or Rival. So you see, I'm not healing off the poisoning. I'm letting it tick me down. I go into this center here, because you don't get this fly point unless you go into that center. And we need to come back here later to go to Power Plant to catch a couple things. So I enter that center to get the fly point, and then just immediately leave it. Here I Antidote, use a Repel, and I don't Elixir yet, because I still have 1 kick left for Bulbasaur, so I don't need to Elixir yet. And I'm also tilted at this point because of how many kicks I missed on the Bill split. So I was like, if I miss the kick on Bulbasaur, I'm just going to die and reset. Like, I don't care at this point. You know, it's always a funny thing to think about. You know, oh, this run's so bad, I'm so tilted, and then it ends up world recording. But, you know, you don't know that when you're this early in the run. This run was, like, mediocre at this point. Wasn't even close to anything special. I was at about 30... My splits show about 30 seconds ahead of PB. I was actually about 30 seconds behind PB when you factor in the catch difference. So, not great. Right here is Martha, who is the worst trainer in the world. Her Oddish on this route does not die to Mega Kick, so you have to two-shot it. And it's a range to two-shot on top of that. Bite plus Water Pulse is an 88% range to kill if the Water Pulse is in Torrent. Torrent Water Pulse actually does a little bit more damage than Bite against Oddish, believe it or not. And then this Bulbasaur was probably around a 10 and 16, 11 and 16 range to kill with Mega Kick. Would have been 14 and 16, I believe, if I fought the correct trainer earlier and got a bit more experience to get level 29. But we got it. And now the rest of Rock Tunnel is pretty straightforward. We're just going to be one-shotting everything for the most part. I'm in Torrent, which is nice for this upcoming section. I would still like to take a bit more damage to keep Torrent for longer, but it's fine. Right here is the other choice between two trainers. This guy has 4 Pokemon. If I fought Franklin earlier, who had 2, I would fight a different trainer who had 3 Pokemon. So kind of no matter what you do, you're fighting 5 Pokemon in total. But this path is still slightly faster. You save a super effective text box and a couple seconds worth of movement. But I should have done the other pair, so that I could have gotten level 29 for Bulbasaur. That was a misplay, but I wasn't punished for it. That movement I'm not super comfortable with, because I normally do the other movement, because you normally fight Franklin instead of Wayne. This Jigglypuff is actually a range if you're not in Torrent, but we are in Torrent, so it's fine. If we fought Surge early, we'd have about 2 extra levels at this point, and so you'd be doing a lot more damage to things. And so, like, you could one-shot Oddish with Mega Kick, depending on your attack. And, like, Bulbasaur's never a range on that route. And that Jigglypuff would never be a range, and stuff like that. There I use the Elixir to get my kicks back. It also matters to get your Water Guns and Water Pulses and Bites back, but far less so. It's really for your Mega Kicks, but you do need it for your other moves as well. Because we're going to go a very long time before we heal again. Like, from now until Koga, we don't get any extra moves on top of what we have right now after that Elixir. Right there was another Run to Bike. Do some more blind movement. In case you don't know, you can get Flash. It's like through Diglett's Cave or something like that. But first, I think you need 10 Pokemon registered in your Pokedex, which, you know, we don't have at this point. And second, we don't need it. We can just memorize the layout. Don't even have to go through that whole detour for Flash. And then, you'll leave Rock Tunnel here. I'm once again going to enter and leave the Lavender Pokemon Center this time. This is not to get the fly point. We just get the fly point by entering the city. But this actually sets our teleport point to Lavender. And this is why early Pikachu saves so much time. If you get Pikachu in Forest, we can skip Power Plant entirely, which means we don't have to go into the Rock Tunnel Pokemon Center. And if we don't have to go into that Pokemon Center, we can set our teleport point to Vermilion and teleport there instead of Lavender. And that lets us do Surge earlier in the run, which lets us get Fly earlier. So that's why early Pikachu is so powerful. Is you can do Surge earlier in the run, get Fly earlier, and cut out some biking movement I'm going to have to do later. The fact that you need to enter the Rock Tunnel Center in order to get the Fly point just messes up the routing so much. Here we're going to get an Eevee. Eevee's a free thing. You know, you just walk, you go pick it up, free poke. And we can also just evolve it with an Evolution Stone, which is another free poke. So it's basically 2 free pokes. Very nice thing to get. I'm also right here going to get the coin case, because we're going to buy a couple Pokemon from the, what's it called? The Game Corner. I'm also going to go and pick up PP up over here. We're gonna sell PP ups and like calciums and stuff like that sell for a lot of money, and we need a lot of money. So we're gonna pick up a couple items like that. Pick up some free coins on the ground and from this guy. This gives us enough to buy an Abra, and then we buy 500 more from this guy in order to buy the fairy on top of that. The way that we get 60 Pokemon in this category is, like I said, we avoid catching things as much as possible. And so what we instead do is we like in-game trades. We like stone evolutions, things like Moonstones for your Nidorans or Thunderstones for your Pikachus, stuff like that. It's really nice. And then there are candy evolutions, which are you can catch Pokemon where if you just give them a single level, they will evolve. So we can just catch them, use a rare candy on them to give them a level, and then they evolve. So that's also a really nice type of Pokemon to get. So that's what we try to do. We try to catch Pokemon that are useful in that sense, you know? We want to catch things that are worth more than one in some sense, either through a trade or an evolution. Obviously not every Pokemon we catch is going to fall into that category. But a lot of the ones we catch will. And that's how we do this efficiently. Is of the 60 Pokemon in our Pokedex, we're only going to catch somewhere between 20 and 25, I think, and the rest come from other venues, evolutions and trades, and free things that you can pick up, like the Magikarp or the Eevee, or we're going to get an Abra and a Clefairy in a second that you can just buy. Just making our way through Rocket Hideout. On this route, it's really important to be... Not important, but it's really nice to be in Torrent here. These Ekinses are ranges, if you're not in Torrent, but they just die in Torrent, so that's really nice. Like, this... Okay, this is Sandslash, but the Ekans right here is only a I don't know, something like a 34% range if you're not in Torrent, but it just dies when you're in Torrent. And the Ekans can be really annoying. And while we're in Torrent, we can also do Bite plus Pulse on the Arbok to go for a flinch. Which is, again, really nice. And then the way the experience route works out is right after this Arbok, we're going to just barely get level 33, and then we're going to use our 3 candies to get up to level 36 and evolve into Blastoise. Through the evolution, we are going to level out a Torrent, which is unfortunate. It's nice to have Torrent for the Kangaskhan coming up, but it's not a big deal. I'm also going to pick up a Net Ball and a Nest Ball that's hidden on the ground near Giovanni. Those are nice to catch a couple things. I also picked up a Great Ball earlier, which is, again, nice for catching a couple things. But for the most part, we're going to use Ultra Balls to catch things. Giovanni is pretty straightforward. First 2 things, just die to Water Gun, and then you spam Water Pulse on Kangaskhan. It's a 2-shot in Torrent, 3-shot out of Torrent. And then you hope to get good HP set up for the Lavender rival fight that we're going to do after this. If we had early Pika, we would teleport back to Vermilion, fight Surge, and then do the Lavender Tower section. But because we need to get the Power Plant Fly Point, we don't have that as an option. So instead, we're going to teleport to Lavender, to the Lavender Tower first, and then bike over to Surge. So that's the main time save of early Pika. Is with early Pika, you can fly from Vermilion to Lavender. But if you don't get early Pika, you have to bike from Lavender to Surge. Buy our Clefairy, buy our Abra. This is why we need spaces in our party, by the way. We need Abra in our party. And we also want Eevee in our party to help weaken some things in Power Plant. Because our Blastoise is too strong at that point. Get the T here. Need that in order to get into Saffron. Standard stuff. We're going to do some big shopping here. We're going to sell both of our nuggets, both of our PP ups, and a calcium. That gives us a lot of money. And then we buy 2 Firestones, a Thunderstone, and a Leaf Stone. For our Stone evolutions. We're going to pick up another Leaf Stone later on top of that. And then we buy some X items. 4x attack, 6x speeds, 22x specs, 6x accuracies, and 3 guard specs. Is there still room to improve this run? Of course there is. I missed 4 Mega Kicks on the Bill split. However, the majority of the real-time save is going to come in post-game, because my post-game is not great. Now we're going to go over here and get Fly. We can't use Fly yet, but we still want to get the HM for it. We can teach and use later. And now we teleport over to Lavender. We are going to catch one more thing here before we hit the main catching section. We're going to get Ghastly in here. And that's because Ghastly is a really common encounter, and this is the only place in the game to get it. In this category, there are valuable catches and less valuable catches. Generally, the valuable catches are the ones that you can only get in one specific spot. Or maybe like 2 specific spots. But it might be rare in one of them. This fight, we do a guard spec to protect against sand attack and X accuracy for our Mega Kicks, and then X attack. Power up our Mega Kicks. Luckily, after an X accuracy, Mega Kick is much more likely to hit. It is 99% likely to hit because of a rounding error. However, I have lost runs to missing that 1%. But this is generally the safer way to do this fight. You can also do this fight with X specs and using Water Pulse. That fight, the Ivysaur is a range, and if it doesn't die, it usually kills you. So, you generally prefer kick strats if you can do it. And importantly, we got into Torrent there, and low Torrent at that. We need to keep Torrent through level 40. We're level 37 right now, I believe. So as it stands, we're in good HP to keep Torrent for that. And the reason for that is for Koga. Pick up an Elixir right there. We're going to catch a Ghastly right here. Our Blastoise is way too strong to weaken this Ghastly, so the best way to handle it is to throw in your Farfetch'd and then weaken it a bit. And then you can catch it with a Nest Ball, which Nest Ball is more likely to catch the lower level the wild Pokemon is. From there, the Nest Ball was a guaranteed catch at that HP. Fun misconception. A lot of people think level matters for catching things. It does not at all in this gen, unless you're specifically using a Nest Ball. That is the only Pokeball where the level of the wild Pokemon matters. The only things that matter for catching is the Pokemon's catch rate, which is a built-in value between like 3 and 255. The higher the catch rate, the easier it is to catch. The HP of the Pokemon, and if it's statused or not. And there might be one other thing I'm forgetting, but those are the only relevant things, really. Level does not matter unless you're using a Nest Ball. How important is Safari Zone to catch Mons? Safari Zone is the worst part of the run, because it is super important. There are a lot of things that you can only get in Safari Zone, or they're like really rare to get outside of Safari Zone. And it's a blessing and a curse. The encounters as a Fire Zone are really fast. You don't have to deal with the animation of throwing out the Pokemon. You don't have to weaken them at all. You're just throwing balls generally. But as a downside, the Pokemon are really likely to break out of each individual ball, and they can run away from you, which is just a super fun thing that happens when you encounter the thing you want and then it just runs from you. Safari kind of makes or breaks your runs. I like to say Safari is where the run actually begins. Just fun, because, you know, Safari doesn't happen until like an hour and 20 minutes into the run, but, you know. These fights aren't very interesting. Torrent is important here for Water Pulse to kill some things, but you just one-shot everything. You hope that your HP is in a good spot for Koga right here, because you need to be in high Torrent for Koga. Torrent is really important for Koga, but you need to be a high enough HP value that you don't die. Still gonna die, as you'll find out later. Koga just sucks in this game. And I'll talk about that later. But, for now, we're just doing this. We're gonna go Bike to Surge after this, and then we're going to head to Safari. Yeah, not too much interesting to talk about until we get to Surge, really. You can... Cubone's a rare encounter in Tower. It's a nice thing to get, because you can't get Cubone anywhere else in the game. But, again, it's rare. There's also a Jigglypuff that you could have caught back on Route 3, only place in the game to get it, and you can Moonstone evolve it. So Jigglypuff is a really nice thing to get early. However, Jigglypuff is a real pain to catch. This catch rate sucks. Do we catch Snorlax? No. Snorlax has a very low catch rate, and we do not have Ultra Balls yet. So it is nearly impossible to catch. So we just run away from it. Here we have to Bike to Surge because we can't fly yet. So all of this movement is just gone if you get early Pika, and that's why early Pika is so good. All that biking, just eliminated. It's also eliminated if you do early Surge. That's the other solution, you know. And then we get the cans. The way the cans work is the first can is placed completely randomly. And then once you find that first can, the second can is placed randomly in one of the orthogonally adjacent ones, so not diagonally. So I got lucky there. There were 4 options for the second can, but I got it first try. You save there because if you guess wrong, you can just reset the game and then pick a different one. It's locked in once you hit that first can, so you can just save and then try all the ones until you hit it. What do I mean by ranges? Every time you use a move, it can do between 85 and 100% of its maximum damage. So a range is where like maybe only 90% and up kills, but if you do between 85 and 89%, it lives. That's what a range is. You need to hit the random value for it to do a high enough roll. This HP is good for Surge. You need Torrent here in order to one-shot this Raichu. And then the way this HP works out, I can use an Oran Berry that I picked up all the way back on the Bill Split to heal 10 HP, and that will give me good HP for Koga. We're gonna see, doesn't even end up mattering, but it's still nice to have good HP. And now that we beat Surge, we can finally use Fly. Go to the Snorlax, just gonna run away from it because catching it with a Great Ball and 3 Pokeballs is not a fun time. Let me tell you. And you're gonna see me do some funky movement at the start of Cycling Road here. This movement and the pauses just make it so that I can get past these guys safely without them seeing me, because they're also spinners. Pick up a hidden rare candy, and we're also going to pick up a hidden max elixir. You need a lot of elixirs in this run. Fun fact, if you hold down on Cycling Road in this gen, you actually bike faster. A lot of people don't know that. And you can hold B to stop on a dime, instead of just letting the momentum carry you down. And now that we're in Fuchsia, we can finally buy Ultra Balls. And so, this is where the catch sections begin. And this is what's really important. Buy some Ultra Balls, buy some Super Potions, buy some Extra Pills. Thanks for the bits. We go in here, and I'm going to slow this down, because Safari is arguably the single most important part of the run. There are a lot of things you want to catch here. The most important ones you want to get are Venonat and Execute, because those are both worth 2. Venonat from Trade, Execute from Evolution. And they're really rare to get on Sevi Islands. So we got eggs here. The way we rock them, rock increases the catch chance, but also increases the chance they run away. Generally, the chance that they run away doesn't matter that much on its own, because it's better than a breakout, because you can just encounter it again later. But if you're just sitting there throwing balls and it's breaking out of them and not running away, you're just sitting there wasting time, you know? So rock is a good item because it increases our chance to catch, and if it runs away, it's not that bad. However, there are a lot of situations where if it runs away, it's really bad for you. So some things we rock because their catch rate is really bad, and other things we just throw balls until they get in. So we got Execute. We rocked a Rhyhorn and it ran away, which is unfortunate but not a big deal. Pick up a bunch of items in here. Get a Leaf Stone, Max Revive, Max Potion, Full Restore. We're gonna get a Protein. Doduo is a nice thing to get here. Only place to get one. The other important things to get here is I need 2 Nidorans. Because each Nidoran, like, I want to get all 6 of the Nidorans, right? The entire male Nido line and the entire female Nido line. If you catch a male Nido, you can candy it to Nidorino and then Moonstone it to Nidoking. You can also just catch a Nidorino straight up. You can also trade a male Nido for a female Nido, so it can be worth 4 like that. But the best situation is what I get right here. Yep. Female Nido. Female Nido is a 5% encounter in this game, and only in a couple areas. But if you get it, you can skip the in-game trade entirely. So it is a super valuable thing to get. I do get it. So far I've gotten Execute, Female Nido, and Doduo. I stay here because I want to get a Venonat. The important things to get still are Venonat and Male Nido, or Nidorino. I unfortunately get a Doduo there. Male Nido is 20%, Nidorino is 10%, Venonat is 15%. I get Male Nido, which Venonat was the one I was really hoping to get, but Nidorino is perfectly fine to get as well. And at this point, not in this area, but in the adjacent area, I could have stayed to go for a 20% Rhyhorn plus 15% Paris for a 35% total. Those were the good things left to me. Also a 10% Nidorino, but Nidorino's not that good if you already have male Nido and female Nido. So I could have stalled for Paris Rhyhorn, but I decided not to, and to just go. The important thing in Safari is deciding when is it time to just leave. Because you can't get everything in Safari, generally speaking. And so I decided Rhyhorn plus Paris, not good enough to stall for. I'm just going to leave on that. If I got one on the way out, I obviously would have tried to catch it. But unfortunately, I just got a couple more male Nidos, which is not useful to me. So get the gold teeth, also get this revive. And so I am leaving Safari with a catch of male Nido, female Nido, Doduo, and eggs. That is a low catch Safari. Ideally, you get a lot of things in Safari, but the most important thing about your Safari is that it's fast, right? You don't want to be wasting time in here. So you kind of have to balance, you know, is it worth it to spend more time in here to try to increase my catch count, or should I just leave and hope to get the catches made up later? And I decided to leave on a low catch count, because I didn't like my odds for stalling for more things. Right here, we teach Surf, and I'm also going to use an Oran Berry to get better HP for Koga. In this fight, yes, Surf and Torrent. The way Koga works is both of his Coughings just die. They're nothing. The Muck is a 2-shot in Torrent, and the Wheezing is a 6 and 16 range to 1-shot in Torrent. If you don't 1-shot the Muck, it usually uses Minimize. And if you don't Muck will usually use Minimize after the first turn, and then Wheezing, if you don't 1-shot it, will usually use Sludge. Sludge, if you don't know, is 30% to poison you. And fun fact, if you have perfect HP and are at the maximum possible HP, perfect HP IV, maximum possible Torrent HP, perfect defense, and Wheezing min rolls his Sludge, the Sludge damage plus poison still kills you. So there's no way to play this fight safe while still being in Torrent, which is essential for this fight. You need Torrent for this fight. Otherwise, you're losing just a buttload of time. I get unlucky and get sludged on Muck. Luckily, I don't get poisoned, which would have killed me, basically. But now, I just die to Sludge on Wheezing. So, I have to just go for the Surf, the 6 and 16 range, and hope it kills. And no such luck. Lives on 1 HP. And Sludge kills us. Because of how this category works, that's not a dead run, because I have revives. And I can actually... It's not strict time loss. It's still time loss, don't get me wrong. But I can throw in the bug. And then, because he'll use a Hyper Potion, he won't kill the bug. And I can swap train on this Wheezing. And so I'm actually going to evolve my Caterpie into a Metapod right now. Normally, you delay that until Sylph. But because I died to the Wheezing, I'm taking advantage. I'm mitigating the time loss. You know, getting some benefit out of it by evolving this bug. But obviously, dying, not ideal. Getting poisoned, also not ideal. But we're through Koga. I'm not healing off this poison because I'm gonna take a full heal right after I go to Power Plant. And I don't actually need my Blastoise alive for anything, so I can just let it tick. So here we fly to the Rock Tunnel Center, which is why we had to enter it. Yes, that's the downside, is if you evolve your bug there, you have no good way to catch Ditto in Pokemon Mansion, but you kind of just deal with that. It sucks, but it's still better to do the evolution while you can. So Power Plant, we need to catch Pikachu. And the reason Pikachu is so important... I go a really long time without an encounter here. The reason Pikachu is so important is because you can Thunderstone it to Raichu, and then trade it for an Electrode. So it's actually worth 3 on its own. That's the main reason we have to go to Power Plant, is we need Pikachu. It's just too valuable. And then it's a 25% encounter here, and then I stall here for one more thing. Voltorb and Magnemite are both 30% each. Magnemite's the slightly worse one, but it's not a big deal. Because Magnemite is not a guaranteed catch with Ultra Balls here. The way catch percentages work are, you know, in general, the lower the health of a Pokemon, the easier it is to catch, but it actually goes in discrete thresholds. that Magnemite was a 62% chance to get in the Ultra Ball. If I did a bit more damage, it would have jumped up to 78%. There's no value in between 62 and 78%. And then 78% jumps up to 100%. So there's like these discrete levels that you aim to hit when you're weakening things. Got the Mom heal there. Heal back up to full. We caught a Tentacool on the way to the power plant as well. Tentacool is like a guaranteed encounter in like all the water sections that you're surfing on. So you get a Tentacool at some point. If I didn't get it on the way to power plant, I probably would have gotten it there. If I still didn't get it there, I would have gotten it on Sevi Islands. You just always get a Tentacool at some point. And then Mansion is another important catch section. The most important thing to get here is Growlithe. Because Growlithe is a Firestone evolution, and this is basically the only place in the game to get it. I get very lucky, I get first encounter Growlithe. And that's a guaranteed catch with Ultra Ball. The goals at this point is getting 60 Pokemon. We're in the main catch section of the run. Most of the fights don't matter at this point. There are a couple that are a bit dangerous, but generally we're just hoping to get as many catches as we can. Coughing's a decent encounter. Unfortunately, Bite is pretty likely to kill it, and I do get the crit here. But Coughing is a very likely encounter in here, so it's not a big deal to crit it. I then get Small Rat, which is a very nice thing to get here. I get a bit unlucky here. It breaks out of 2 Ultra Balls. It's a 78% catch at full HP. I have no way to weaken it, really. But Small Rat's a nice thing to get because this is kind of the last place in the game to get one. You can also get one before Victory Road, but it's not ideal. It's better to get it here. So you can candy it. And then I believe I also get a Big Rat and this Coughing. So I bite the Coughing, it just barely lives, and then we can catch it. Coughing, fun fact, no self-destruct. So it's really fun when you weaken the Coughing and it lives, then it just explodes on you. But again, it's not a huge deal if Coughing dies on you, because you're just so likely to encounter another one. And then I get Big Rat right here. So the remaining things in here that I haven't gotten are Wheezing, which you never catch. There's a Grimer at 5%, and then a Ditto at 10%. Ditto is really annoying to catch, though. Grimer is nice, but, you know, it's pretty rare. Pick up an Elixir, pick up the TM for Blizzard. We need Blizzard to deal with some Venusaurs and some Dragons, mainly. We're going to teach our Blizzard now, because we no longer need Mega Kick. So we replace our 75% accurate move with a 70% accurate move. Luckily, for the most part, we're using an X accuracy with it, but there are a couple full odds Blizzard we have to hit. We evolve our Eevee into Flareon. The only reason we pick Flareon is because it has the shortest cry. Just a minor optimization. And then we're going to equip the black glasses that I picked up in the Rocket Hideout. Black glasses boost Dark-type moves by 10%. Our only Dark-type move is Bite, but that 10% is really important for Lorelei specifically. And there are a few other places where getting that 10% boost on Bite turns something from a range to a guaranteed kill, basically. Questions here. Don't get your questions wrong. It's really embarrassing when it happens. Everyone's done it. Blaine is like the easiest gym leader in this run. I mean, Giovanni's the easiest gym leader. He just one-shot all of his shit. But, If we could, we would do Blaine before Koga. Because we obviously have a very good matchup against his fire types. But unfortunately, you need to beat Koga in order to use Surf out of battle. So you need to do Koga before Blaine. So it's pretty trivial. You one-shot his first 3 things, then you 2-shot his Arcanine. Nothing too interesting. Does Arcanine put me in Torrent here? I think it does. Oh, I was slower. I was actually speed tied with that Rapidash. I forgot about that. So the Rapidash hit me, and then this Arcanine is going to hit me again and put me in Torrent. And Torrent is really nice for a fight coming up on the Sevi Islands. So we need to do the Sevi Islands at some point, because the Sevi Islands are what unlocks the harder Elite Four. So we do it in 2 sections. We do the first half of the Sevi Islands here, where we go and like find Lostel in the Berry Forest and help Bill with, or help like Celia with something. I don't know. I don't read the text. But we do the first half of it now, and then once we try to catch all 60 of our Pokemon before the end of the Elite Four, so that once we reset the game and we're in Pewter, we automatically go into the cutscene where Oak gives us the National Dex, and we can just go straight to Sevi again. If you don't know, you need the National Dex in order to unlock Islands 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right now, we only have access to Islands 1, 2, and 3. So that's why we have to catch 60 Pokemon, is we need the National Dex for the Sevi Islands, and we need to do the Sevi Islands to unlock the Elite Four. Harder fight. This is the single biggest catch section of the run, the Sevi Islands. We catch a lot of things here. I have 26 catches right now. I'm going to have 35 leaving the Sevi Islands. So I catch 9 things. Really important section. I bought Ultra Balls already. I'm going to buy more Ultra Balls coming up, and then those Ultra Balls are going to last me through the rest of the run. These fights, specifically there are 4 fights here. The 4th one is a lot nicer if you're in Torrent. So, you kind of don't really control if you get Torrent or not. It just depends on how much damage you take from, like, wild things in Mansion and Blaine. I got lucky. I took a lot of damage and got into Torrent. And, if you're out of Torrent, the last guy has a Weezing and a Muck, and there are 2 and a 3-shot respectively. But if you're in Torrent, it's a 1 and a 2-shot. So it saves a good bit of time. And also they have some troll moves. Weezing loves to smoke screen. Muck loves to minimize. So, you know, killing these things as fast as possible is always nice. These first 3 guys are basically free. One of the Grimers is a range, but it's very likely. So Weezing just dies. And we one-shot the Muck. Now, in hindsight, I did actually make a misplay right around here. I should have, after this fight, I should have swapped Bug to the front and swap trained the Metapod on this next fight in order to evolve it to Butterfree. I wasn't even thinking about that in the moment. It's a somewhat rare circumstance. I'll sell the Protein and Carbos here for money, and then buy Ultra Balls, buy a Max Repel, and then some Escape Ropes. If I was thinking, I should have swap trained Caterpie here, or Metapod rather. It's a pretty minor thing. Didn't really affect much, but Persian's a really good encounter here because it's rare. I mean, rare encounters are nice for two reasons. One, you're unlikely to get it, so it's kind of an extra thing. And two, you're less likely to get another one later, so getting something rare decreases your chances of getting repeat encounters, which loses time. So that was very nice. Also got it first ball. Persian has a kind of low catch rate, but it's not too bad. Pidgey's a nice thing to get. Unfortunately, the Pidgey and the Pidgeotto is here. No Whirlwind, which ends the battle. So that's annoying when that happens. But we got Pidgey, which is nice. You can see that in my catch tracker on the bottom, you can see I mark a couple things in dark blue as opposed to light blue. Those are things that I'm going to rare candy to evolve. I have 5 rare candies in total. So I marked them in dark blue just to make it a bit easier to keep track of. Blizzard after next accuracy is 93% accurate, so it's pretty accurate. Slightly less accurate than Tackle, but we all know how much Tackle loves to miss. Now, in this section, Oddish, Gloom, Pidgeotto, Venonat, Drowsy are the main things that I'm looking for. Venonat is by far the best one, because you can in-game trade that for a Tangela. It's a 10% encounter. Oddish is 10%, Gloom and Pidgeotto are both 20%, Drowsy is 10%. So, there's still a bunch of good stuff here. I forget what the next thing I get is. Pidgeotto. Okay. So Pidgeotto also knows Whirlwind. Luckily he doesn't use it. And first ball, very nice. Breakouts are really slow. You really hope to not get too many breakouts in this run. Each breakout just loses a lot of time. I unfortunately get a second Gloom here, which obviously I don't need anymore. And I actually get a third Gloom as well. So at this point, I'm like, oh, I get a Psyduck, that's right. So Psyduck is a 5% encounter here, but it's a guaranteed encounter later. So it kind of doesn't really matter if you catch it here or not. It's not something you're really catching. It's not something you're really thinking about. Some of the Psyducks that you get here, you can actually rare candy to evolve, but that normally doesn't matter. And then right here, I decide to stall for one more thing, and I get insanely rewarded. This is what really made this run, is I decided to stall for one more catch, and I got the best thing in Venonat. So that's what really made this run. Because, like, my pace was pretty mediocre. After I missed the 4 kicks on Bill, I actually hit every kick after that, so like, that helped make up a bunch of time. So my pace was, like, solid entering the catch section. But then my Safari was fast if low catch, my Blaine and Power Plant were both insane. And then my Sevi Islands was also really good. Carried by the fact that I got that Venonat. This Hypno is a static encounter, which is nice for us. You can just always catch it, basically. And it's a lower level than every other Hypno you can encounter here, so you do more damage. Yeah, critting Venonat or Growlithe hurts a lot. I've been there. It hurts a lot. Anyway, we got Lostel. We talk to the dad, he gives us a Moonstone. We get 3 free Moonstones in this run, basically. Well, we get 2 free Moonstones and we pick up 1 in Pokemon Mansion. And then right here, I arguably should have stalled for an Oddish. I don't think it was incorrect to not stall. Because my catch count right here is really solid. And I had a really good catch situation entering Victory Road. But, I got a pretty unfortunate Victory Road, so maybe I should have stalled for an oddish. It's debatable. I don't regret playing aggressively. Honestly, the 30% encounter there. Right now, we need to stall for a Ponyta, because Ponyta is an in-game trade for Seal, and then we can usually candy that Seal into a Dugong, so it's worth 2 or 3. So, we have to stall here until we get a Ponyta. We catch anything else we see along the way, except for, like, Rapidash. And I get some decent luck. Fearow into Ponyta. Ponyta's a 30% encounter, so most of the time you get a pony pretty fast. But there's definitely been runs I've had where you're just sitting there getting a bunch of encounters and you're not getting the Ponyta, and it's really frustrating. If you catch a level 30, you need a level 34 Seal to candy the 35 and evolve the Dugong. So you need a level 34 Ponyta to candy it. 34 ponies are more common than 31 ponies, which are the other ones there. I don't know how much more common, but 34s are pretty common. Right here we do some party management. I deposit and take back out my Blastoise to heal it to full. If I did the swap training on Metapod to evolve it, I could have taken out my other bug there, but I didn't do that. And then I took out Pikachu, Venonat, and Ponyta. And we're going to trade all 3 of those right now. So first we're going to trade Ponyta for Seal. We're also going to talk to the fossil guy to revive our Helix fossil into an Omanite. You can also go to Pewter City and get the old Amber and also catch a Diglett while you're there. And you can trade Abra for Mr. Mime. Pewter Skip, where we skip all of that, has been a fairly new development for this category. Pokeguy and I were talking about it a lot, and Mockwing. And we decided that you miss out on some free stuff. Like, you miss out on Aerodactyl, you miss out on a Diglett. Both of those are free encounters. You miss out on Mr. Mime as well. But we decided that routing those catches out, like, Aerodactyl and Mr. Mime are the 2 slowest catches in the entire route, even if they are free. So we decided that routing that out and playing for faster catches elsewhere is more important if you want record. I don't even know what level Venonat evolves into Venomoth, but trading is better because you have a limited supply of candies, but you know the trade is always there. So yeah. We evolved our Seal into a Dugong. We're trading our Venonat for a Tangela, trading our Raichu for an Electrode. Evolved our Pikachu into a Raichu before that. And so yeah, we're mostly done with the catching section part of stuff. We're actually catching things. Right now, we're doing a bunch of, other stuff. We're doing a bunch of trades, bunch of evolutions. We're going to swap train our Metapod and Sylph. We're going to swap train our Weedle in Giovanni's gym. We're going to get a free Lapras. We're going to do our Moonstone evolutions. We're going to do a bunch of stuff. Right now, though, we're going to go to Sylph. Because right now, what's left that we have to do Sylph, we have to do Sabrina, we have to do Erica. And that's what we need to do to unlock Giovanni. So, we want to put off Erica as long as possible, because grass types are mean. Right here is an interesting strat where you pot... That's a walker. He walks around, and if he sees you, then you have to fight. So you run up to him and then pause. you might not have seen it because it was too fast, but when I paused, he started walking down, so if I kept going left, he would have seen me, so I had to run up and around him instead. And we did a bunch of bag manips to pass that spinner right there. The way a bag manip works is if you enter your bag and leave it, it resets their spin timers. So you get a full 32 frames to pass them, and you only need 16. It's the simplest way to pass spinners in this game. So here, like I said, we swap train our Metapod. And then we're going to set up an X Special and an X Accuracy. And I think I might set up a second X Special. I don't remember. No, I don't. Okay, sometimes we set up a second X Special here. But it's kind of a weird strat. Metapod gets an extra level there. You only need to get to level 10. But if you get to level 11, it doesn't learn confusion, so it kind of evens out. I missed Blizzard on that Venusaur. Luckily, I have really good defense, so I had enough HP to tank a Razor Leaf if it didn't crit. And then I got a very, very good flinch on that Gyarados. Gyarados knows Bite and Dragon Rage. Dragon Rage always does 40 damage, and you really want to be in Torrent here, but being at 1 HP is a little too low, you know? So right now, this keeps Torrent for the next couple levels, which is really nice. You need Torrent for Sabrina. Torrent is nice to have for a couple other things. Giovanni specifically. And Erica. Erica's the more important one to have Torrent for, actually. We get our free Lapras here. Again, why can't we just talk to NPCs to get every Pokemon in this game? It would make things so much easier. $500 for a Magikarp and free Lapras. So good. This fight's trivial. Next fight, when you're in Torrent, Kangaskhan is a 10 and 16 range, I believe, and it knows Fake Out. But aside from that, Giovanni's trivial. And then after this fight, I'm going to go into the PC, because there's actually a PC right here. And I'm going to deposit all the things I just traded for and my Butterfree. I'm going to take out my Weedle, both my Nidorans, and my Clefairy. The Weedle is for swap training, and the other three are Moonstone evolutions. So I'm just going to get all those done at the same time. Crit the Kangaskhan, very nice. Fun fact, you can run over the arm of this couch. And then PC, like I said, just gonna get our Bug, our Nidos, and our Clefairy. And then we're gonna go fight Sabrina. When you're in Torrent, Sabrina is mostly a trivial fight. You have to X speed on the Venomoth. The Venomoth always uses Psybeam. It does almost no damage. It does like 12 damage or something. But it's 10% to confuse, and that is very, very bad. So you really have to dodge that 10% confusion chance. But aside from that, it's a free fight. And right here, I'm just barely in Torrent. If I was 1 HP higher, I would not be in Torrent. the X speed is necessary for Alakazam, because Alakazam is a speedy boy. Now, on this run, I caught female Nidoran, which is a very rare catch in Safari. It's a 5% encounter. Most runs don't get female Nidoran. You might get 2 male Nidorans, or a male Nidoran and a Nidorino. What you do in that case is you go north of Saffron and trade your male Nido for a female Nido. But because I have the female Nido already, I don't have to do that, so I skip that entirely. I do decide to go into this grass here because I am 40% for a Meowth and 20% for an Oddish. Of course, I hit the 10% Growlithe. And then I also hit the 30% Pidgey, which are the other 2 things in this grass. So that was pretty troll for this decision. But I decided I wanted to get... I decided the 60% to get either Meowth or Oddish here was worth it. For my catch count and my catch situation. I just got a pretty unfortunate punish right there by getting 2 useless encounters. But now we fight Erica. Put off Erica as long as possible, but it is time. Because we're in Torrent, we can actually Torrent Surf Erica's Weepin' Bell. I don't know if it's a Weepin' Bell or a Victory Bell. Never remember the difference between the two. We can Torrent Surf that and her Vileplume. The Vileplume is a 75% range to die to Torrent Surf, which is slightly more likely than a Full Odds Blizzard at 70%. And her other thing is guaranteed to die to Torrent Surf. And then Tangela sucks and just dies to Bite. And I missed the 75% range. Luckily, Vileplume also misses Stun Spore. So that's nice, at least. And now we're going to go fly down to Fuchsia in order to get Strength from the Gold Teeth guy. We didn't do that earlier. We delayed that until after Erica, because Erica is what lets us use Strength out of battle, and behind the Strength board to the right here is a rare candy. So we delayed doing this until after we could use Strength and get this rare candy. And so we do a bunch of evolutions right here, but first we teach Strength to the fairy. And then we rare candy evolve both of our Nidoran. And then we Moonstone Evo all 3 of these things. So looking at our catch tracker, you see we have 55 planned. 49 currently caught, but 55 planned. The things that are planned are, you know, swap training the bug and a couple stone and candy evolutions. I have 1 rare candy still available to me, so that gets me to 56 if I catch something else that's candyable. And then I need to catch 4 more things on top of that in the last section. And I have a lot of options available to me. I have Ekans, I have Mankey, I have Geodude, I have Machop. And then I also have some harder things to catch, like Machoke, Primeape, Arbok, um, Golbat, Marowak. So I have a lot of options for catches still. 4 things that are easy to catch, and then like 5 things that are a bit more tricky to catch. And so that's why I stalled in that grass and got the Meowth. Because Meowth's an easy thing to catch, so it saved me from having to catch one of the harder things. Of course, I ended up getting punished for it, but, you know, what are you going to do? Swap Weedle to the front. We're going to do our swap training here in Giovanni's gym. On that menu, we also healed our Blastoise and used an elixir on it. The elixir is for Surf. We get an extra elixir in this run in order to make that work. There are like 2 extra elixirs you can pick up in this run for a couple flex strats. There are just so many elixirs. There might be a 3rd one somewhere I don't even know about. It wouldn't surprise me. Giovanni's gym is free. So we just surf and water pulse everything. They all die. Giovanni's team kind of sucks. He should absolutely have a Persian like he does in yellow. Not that Persian is all that good, but it would at least be flavorful. Yeah, and also he has 2 Rhyhorns. That's stupid. Give him a Rhydon. Like, I'd get rid of his 2nd Rhyhorn for a Rhydon, and I'd get rid of either his Nidoking or Nidoqueen and give him a Persian instead. I'd get rid of the Nidoking, because he has a Nidoqueen on the previous fight. Yeah, Kangaskhan also makes sense, but... you know. You do at least want him to have the ground-type theme and all that. There's nothing to talk about for this fight. You just spam Water Pulse and Surf. Like, it's trivial. Right now, what I'm thinking about in the run is my catch percentages for my last 4 things. I need 4 more things because I have 1 candy left. And so you spend this time thinking through, alright, what do I stall for? When do I leave and go for other things? You know, all that stuff. So there's kind of 2 sections for catches. In the next section, there's the pre-Victory Road section, which has Ekans, Mankey, Fearow. I already have a Fearow, so that was not useful to me. And then Arbok and Primeape. And then there's inside of Victory Road, which has Geodude, Machop, Zubat, Golbat, Machoke, Marowak, Primeape, Arbok. And also Onix. Onix is a really common encounter in Victory Road. It's 30% for most of it. And Onix is absolutely atrocious to catch. It has a catch rate of 45 out of 255. If you Ultra Ball a 1 HP Onix, it is 41% to get in the ball. I'm pretty sure. And Onyx has less attack than Oddish. I don't understand why they made it so hard to catch. It sucks. Anyway, this fight, you do a couple specs and an accuracy, because you have to hit a blizzard. You have to hit 2 blizzards, actually. This Venusaur is actually a range. It's 15 and 16. And if you don't kill this thing in one shot, it just murders you with Razor Leaf. Yeah, modest, but also fight Wayne instead of Franklin because you're tilted. Flinch and Gyarados is nice. It likes to use Rain Dance, which is pretty slow. Because all the text. And then we need to X speed for an Alakazam. The reason we delay the X speed is sometimes we don't need to use it. Because sometimes it's okay to be slower than Alakazam. If it's raining and you can tank a Psychic. Or Psybeam or whatever the move is. But this was not one of those runs. I do not have a Repel up right now. Unfortunately, if I repelled, I wouldn't have enough to make it through Victory Road. So I risked those grass tiles, and then I'm also going to risk the water right here. This water is a 100% Psyduck encounter, which is why getting Psyduck earlier kind of doesn't matter. Because you can just always get Psyduck here, no matter what. It is still a little nicer to catch Psyduck earlier, because it's easier to weaken earlier, but... guaranteed encounter there. Anyway, I get Arbok as my first encounter here, which is actually really good. Because Arbok is rare. It means I can stall here for another thing before heading into Victory Road, which is, you know, Onyx Central. And I first ball the Arbok, which is really nice. No, your encounter odds reset every time the area is deloaded. So when I entered the building, they got reset. Mankey as my second encounter is really nice. That's going to be my candy thing. And then I need to catch 2 things in Victory Road. I do Max Repel right here. That's because I would prefer to encounter things on the second floor of Victory Road versus the first floor. And that's because on the first floor, Onyx is a 30% encounter, but on the second floor, it's only a 20% encounter. And instead of that last 10% goes to Primeape instead. Now, Primeape is also not ideal to catch here because I'm currently candying for it, but it's still a better encounter than Onyx. Anyway, we pick up our 5th and final candy here. Actually, the 10th rare candy of the run. Fun fact. 5 of them for Squirtle, 5 of them for evolutions. And the Repel wears out somewhere around here. Yeah, right there. And then it turns out I get no encounters on this floor anyway, so didn't even matter. This right here was my only bad catch section of the run, and you'll see why very shortly. Starting with an Onyx, you only ever catch Onyx if you're desperate, because like I said, at best 41% catch. And then I get Marowak, which is an annoying thing to catch. The good things to get here are Machop and Geodude, because those are both very easy catches. But we get Marowak, and then we're going to get Machoke as our other thing. And we also get a couple breakouts here. So this was an unfortunate catch section, but this was also the only bad catch section of the entire run. So, it's fine. Yeah, we get the Master Ball from Mewtwo. Unfortunately, in order to catch Mewtwo, you need to do the Sevi Island side quest. Like in the post-game. So Mewtwo can't count towards your 60. It's unfortunate how that works out, but Mewtwo just destroys Elite Four Round 2. Like the series of fights, not the category. Blastoise would really struggle, especially on Lorelei, but on several other fights as well. Before the Mewtwo route, the old route was actually Zapdos. You would use the Master Ball on Zapdos, and then kind of do like a dual main where you're swapping back and forth between Zapdos and Squirtle, Blastoise for different fights. And the advantages to that is Zapdos counts towards your 60. Disadvantages, Zapdos' move pool is awful. It gets Drill Peck, you can teach it Shockwave and Thunder, but that's about it. But we got our 60 after getting that Machoke. We pick up the Lumberry right here. That's important for some post-game stuff. And then we need to do our last evolutions to get from our 55 up to 60. So we take out our 5 things. Yeah, 5 things. And do our last rare candies and stones. If you don't mind, I'm just going to skip ahead through here. Oh. I'm literally just evolving these things. There's nothing interesting happening here. And then we take out our Blastoise again. And then we also have in our party Farfetch'd, Abra, and Clefable. Farfetch'd is for Fly and Cut. Clefable is for Strength. And then Abra actually saves about 25 seconds for navigating the 70 islands. I'll talk about that later. I also bought 7 full restores and enough max repels to make me through the post game. Okay, to the Elite Four. I'm gonna slow this down to normal speed now. So, Lorelei's first. We have bad moves for Lorelei. Our only move that does any amount of damage to this team is Bite, basically. I mean, Surf also is nice, but not very effective text. It's annoying. And Lapras has Water Absorb. The best possible fight here is if Dugong never uses Hail. You have to set 4 X specials and then 2-shot the Dugong, and every single turn is likely to use Hail. So getting Hailless is really unlikely. It's also really good. Now, of course, on the last turn, I also get Ice Beam frozen. It is not guaranteed to use Ice Beam, and Ice Beam is 10% to freeze. I need you to keep in mind, by the way, if you look at my splits, 237.47 starting the Elite Four. That is the best pace ever, starting Elite Four by 26 seconds. I know it's 26 seconds, because the previous best pace ever was my old PB, which if you look at my splits, I'm 26 seconds ahead of. I have been grinding this category for so long, and I have kept getting crazy good paces into the E4, and every single time, they always go to hell as soon as the Elite Four starts. And this run is no different. I got frozen by Lorelei. So I was really upset at this point that I'd gotten another insane pace, and then gotten another terrible Lorelei. Yeah, the Black Glasses are really important here for 2-shotting Dugong, but more importantly, for 3-shotting Lapras. If you don't have the Black Glasses, Lapras is not a likely 3-shot. The Citrus Berry on Lapras is really annoying. Are there any other Pokemon in the Elite Four with Held items, I wonder? Now I get confused right here, and then hit myself in confusion, and then body slam, and then paralyzed. Like, I was just so tilted here that I had gotten another great pace, and then just got an awful Lorelei. Now I did get some luck here. I thought this was the run where I crit Lapras. Never mind. However, this was Am I mixing up runs? Is this the run where I just got a perfect Bruno? I think it is, yeah. I have perfect defense on this Squirtle, which means Onyx is doing as little damage as possible with Rock Tomb and Earthquake. The way this fight works, you need to set up 2x specials, and you need to be in Torrent leaving this fight, because you need Torrent for both this fight and the next fight. The most common strategy is you use 2 specs, and then you use a speed, because you will have gotten your speed followed by Rock Tomb. Because the Onyx has AI and sees that it's slower than you, so it likes to use Rock Tomb. Now, my HP is kind of low for that strat, but because I have perfect defense, it actually works out. You get Earthquake to 65, and then I use the speed to counteract the speed fall from the Rock Tomb, and end up at 37, which is perfect HP. So yeah. Silver lining, my Lorelei sucked, but I had a perfect Bruno, basically, so... You win some, you lose some. And you need to be in Torrent here, but you can't be too low, otherwise Hitmonchan will kill you with Mach Punch. Like, 37 is basically perfect HP. Kind of. If I get Shadow Punch from Agatha, which, you know, stay tuned, I'm actually arranged to die after healing. So, like, the perfect HP here would be around 45-ish. But because my defense is so good, 37 is perfectly fine, basically. So up to this point, the splits have been mostly useless. But now, like, the splits are real, because we're through the catch section. There's no more variance from catches on my splits. So you see, I'm 2.5 minutes ahead of world record. This is a good run. But there's still so much game left. And if you don't know about world record, it gets the best post-game that anyone has ever gotten. Every run loses time on world record to post-game. Without fail. It's actually not quite the best. I think Pokemon got a better one on a previous PB, now that I think about it. Hey, look at that, I got Shadow Punch. He's guaranteed to Shadow Punch again because he sees a kill. And from 65, you're arranged to die to 2 Shadow Punches. But because my defense was so good, I was fine here. And then he used Double Team. Those are the 2 moves you can use, Double Team and Shadow Punch. He usually uses Double Team. My previous PB died to Gengar, by the way. Because he Double Teamed, and then I missed, and then he killed me with Shadow Punch. So I just saved about a minute there. Even though I had a kind of slow fight by getting Shadow Punch and having to heal. I still saved a minute over my PB. For Agatha, you'd need to do 3x specials plus an X speed. In Torrent, it's only 1x special plus an X speed. So, Torrent's pretty important. Also, on Bruno, you would need to do... Do you need 4? I don't think 3 is enough on Bruno out of Torrent, because Machamp lives, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty confident on that. So, like, no, Torrent is super important for these 2 fights. Luckily, they're kind of the only fights they're important for. Torrent is nice on Champ, but doesn't really matter. Anyway, yeah. I just saved over a minute on my PB on that split. To give you an idea of my mental state at the time I got this run, the previous night, I almost gave up on the category. Because I was so burnt out on not getting any runs out of early game. It had been like almost a month, almost a full month since I've gotten a run to Safari at this point. And I very nearly gave up the category. And then the next day I got record. So, I'm really glad I didn't give up on the category. Lance, the Gyarados is interesting because we don't have great moves for it. We set up 1 spec and 1 accuracy because we're going to be blizzarding a lot, and then we 3-shot the Gyarados. We use bites to try to go for flinches, which unfortunately I don't get, so I have to heal here because Hyper Beam kills from this HP. And then I use the X accuracy there. The reason you delay the X accuracy is you want to get your bite flinches in as early as possible so that you can potentially avoid a heal. Which, unfortunately, I didn't get any flinches, but happens. And then I have to hit... You have to hit 4 blizzards on this fight. All of them are 93%. Things can get bad if you miss blizzard, but luckily on this run, I don't miss it. The only X accuracy blizzard I miss is on Sylph Venusaur, which normally kills you, by the way. Well, that's not entirely true. But that's a bad one to miss blizzard on, but luckily we ended up fine. It kills you in any percent, like all the time, if you miss that. But round 2 you can usually tank. Anyway, and now on to Champ. The Champ fight, you have to set up an X speed and 3 X specials. Oh yeah, there's still this guy. Ancient Power Boost there is really annoying. Unless you get hit into Torrent, but it's whatever. You have to set a speed and 3 X specials for Champ. Torrent doesn't matter. If you do get Torrent, you can skip one of the X specials. But that's pretty rare. And it's generally not what you want. You'd rather take no damage when setting up. The Pidgeot can use either Aerial Ace, I think it is, or Sand Attack. You set up a guard spec to block Sand Attack, so you hope to get Sand Attack. And then we Elixir right there because we need our Blizzards back. And kind of our Surfs. You might be able to make it with the Surfs you have. I think you just barely don't have enough Surfs without that Elixir. But you need it for the Blizzards anyway, so... So what you hope to see here is only Sand Attacks. It can also Feather Dance very rarely. It's the same thing as Sand Attack, basically. Aerial Ace on turn 1 is not good. The higher your HP is, the more likely you are to get Sand Attack, is the way his AI works. I get Aerial Ace into Aerial Ace crit, which is really bad, by the way. But then I get lucky and get Sand Attack on this turn. If I didn't get Sand Attack on that turn, things would have been a bit dicey. But because I got hit into Torrent, I actually got to skip the 3rd X spec. And so now the Venusaur, it only uses Growth and Solar Beam. Those are the only 2 moves it can use. Solar Beam kills you from full. You set up an X accuracy, and then you hope not to miss this Blizzard. If you do, you die. And while you do have revives in the back, it's nearly impossible to recover from a death there, so... The song playing in the background is Finale from Undertale. It's the final boss fight of the neutral route. Fitting. Anyway, Alakazam, you need 2 specs plus Torrent or 3 specs to kill. That's the main thing you need to set up all the specs for. If you only have 2 specs, then you're not in Torrent. It's an 8 and 16 range, I believe, and it kills you. It hurts. Gyarados, because I only set up 2 X specials, I need to Blizzard twice. Now, I actually wasn't dead to Gyarados here, but I decided to play it safe and heal, because the only way I would have been able to dodge that heal would be if I crit Blizzard or froze with Blizzard. And if I don't heal, then I'm risking a death to a crit from the Gyarados. It's very, very likely I would have had to heal anyway. Like 90+% I would have had to heal anyway. But by healing on that turn, I dodge risking a crit death. So, it was the safe play and most likely didn't lose any time. But if you wanted to play for absolute top end, I should have blizzarded first. But I decided to play it safe. Notice how against my PB was a minute ahead of world record at this point, and ended up over a minute behind record. Just to give you an idea of how record's post-game is. I lost over 2 minutes. I lost about 2.5 minutes to record's post-game in my old PB. Record's post-game is really good. And, like, my post-game wasn't all that good, but, like, even on top of that, the way this category worked when running against record is you needed a buffer when you were finishing Champ 1. You needed some time buffer because you were going to lose time in post-game. Now, actually, that's not necessarily true anymore because we no longer trade Abra for Mr. Mime. That's a new thing, actually, that comes with Pewter Skip. By doing that, we actually save time on movement on the Sevi Islands. Because if you don't know, you can't just fly to any of the Sevi Islands you want to. There are separate map screens. Like 1, 2, and 3 are all on the same map screen. 4 and 5 are on the same map screen, and then 6 and 7 are on the same map screen. And you can't change map screens to fly. So you have to actually go to the boat and boat to the island you want to, unless they're on the same map screen. But Abra bypasses that because you enter the Pokemon Center on one island. You have to for cutscenes. So that gets set as your teleport point, and so you can just teleport back to one island from 5 Island, I think it is, instead of having to fly back to the 5 Island Center and go to the boat and boat back to one island. So that saves a good chunk of time. And you can also teleport a couple other places. That saves minor time. But yeah, the reason you want to get 60 before post-game is you notice that Oak just walked up to us right after we loaded in. Didn't have to do anything. If you don't have 60 at that point, I believe you get your 60 and you have to actually go and talk to Oak. I'm pretty sure. I'm not entirely sure, but it's optimal to get your 60 before you even make it to post game, so that cutscene just immediately starts. So now we have to do some, like, Celio's computer wants to link up with the Ho NPCs or something. You have to do some side quests in order to trade with Sapphire and Emerald and all those games. I don't know. I don't read the text. I messed up my movement a bit there. Now, at this point, it has been like a month and a half since I made it to post-game. I am very rusty on my post-game movement at this point. It'll show in my gameplay here. This is by far the worst part of my run. I lose about a minute in post-game. Minute 20. But yeah, you need to get, what? You need to get the Ruby and the Sapphire gems in order to link up the PC. The Ruby you get right here. The Sapphire you have to clear out, like, the Rocket Warehouse on 5 Island in order to get. And then once you do that, that unlocks the harder Elite Four. So that's why we're doing all this. That's why we catch 60 Pokemon. That's why we're doing all this Sevi Island nonsense. I'm gonna speed this back up. These fights aren't interesting. If you have 30 special attack instead of 31, this Marowak is a 15 and 16 range. That's literally the only thing interesting about this. Or is it a Sandslash? Sandslash or Marowak? Sandslash. Do some strength puzzles in here. No, because that only matters if you're rash, generally speaking. Rash is minus special defense. If you're not minus special defense, then like 0 IV is perfectly fine. Do some puzzles designed for 8-year-olds. Yeah, I messed up my movement a bit. Get the ruby. Escape rope out. Take off the black glasses, because we're going to equip a lumberry in a second. And then go back to one island. Talk to Celio. And he's going to say, hey, go get the other gem. You can now access the other Sevi Islands. Go nuts. There is one optional that is annoying in post-game. It's also a double spinner pass is kind of annoying, but there's a walker right before Rocket Warehouse. And it's pretty annoying to pass that walker safely. So I don't. I risk it. Ice puzzles designed for children. Get Waterfall. We're going to teach Waterfall right now. Use a Max Repel. Teach Waterfall. Over Water Pulse. And then give the Lumberry. The Lumberry, if you don't know, is an equipable full heal. As soon as you get statused, it heals it off. And there are a lot of things that can status you in Warehouse. Ideally, you go as long as possible without losing the Lumberry, but, you know. This fight's not interesting. You just one-shot all those things. Most of these fights... Until we get the Warehouse now, the fights are interesting, really. But after this, we need to go to 6 Island, because that's where the Sapphire is. I don't know why we have to go to 4 Island. I mean, probably because that's what puts the Sapphire there. He tells you where the Rocket Warehouse is. Interesting. Again, I like never read this text. Yeah, we try to get the Sapphire, but then this asshole scientist just steals it from us. Yeah, both the rocket passwords are palindromes, if you didn't know. It's a neat touch. Right here, this is a spinner. I didn't have the bag here. It was actually safe without the bag, but I did save. There's a double spinner pass right here. I mess it up. You can do a run to bike pause manip thing, but I mess it up. I haven't really practiced it that much. I know how I messed it up. It's just... and then right here, you have to use cut on this door to get in. The clue for that is in Braille, by the way. Very cool of Game Freak to put Braille in their video game. In a time, like, when the internet wasn't as widespread as it is now. Like, it was coming around, but this was still, like, what, 2004, 2005? It's pretty early internet. Yeah, he steals the Sapphire, and then... Now we go to the warehouse. So the warehouse fights are really annoying. You do a run to bike right here, and then this walker right there that I just biked past. She can, if she moves the wrong way, she can see you, and then you have to fight her. But, there's a method you can do to make that a safe pass. I never learned it. I just risk it every time. This Weezing is a damage range. I get the range, which is nice. And then there are 4 fights in Warehouse, and 3 of them suck. Do the spinny tile puzzle. I'll let you in on a secret. I have it memorized. That's a spinner. You just bag manip to get past her. This guy's also a spinner. You do a couple bag manips to get past him. And then first fight. This guy has 2 Hypnos. They love to use Swagger. Luckily, we have a Lumberry, so we can heal off the confusion the first time it happens. But we really want to keep that Lumberry for longer, so we hope not to get Swaggered. We get Psychic, which is good. Yeah, special defense falls, whatever. I use Bite to go for the flinch. Fun fact, Waterfall does not flinch in Gen 3. If it did, we would use it. We get 2 Psychics. So that's a pretty unusual Hypno fight. You almost always get a Swagger, unless you flinch them. But we got 2 Psychics, so our health is low, but we made it through without losing our Lumberry, which is pretty important. Because this Vileplume loves to status us. This Muck we can't quite 2-shot, so we have to set up an X special on it. And it hits us with both Rock Tombs, which sucks. Now we're slower than the Vileplume. And this is why the Lumberry is so important. I should slow this down. If you're slower than this, and use a Sleep Powder, if you don't have the Lumberry, you lose your turn there. So you have to heal it off, and then you get slept again, and you have to keep going until it misses. So that's really bad. But the Lumberry heals that off. So you can get that move off. And then you have to hit a full odds Blizzard there. This is the only section of the run where you have to hit a full odds Blizzard. You have to hit 2 of them. We hit the first one. And we kill the Arbok. Slower than the Arbok because... Rock Tomb. Yeah, I know, Etchy. I don't want to pay the money for it. Anyway, you heal here, and then this guy, you have to hit another full odds Blizzard on this Golbat. Now, if I just hit this Blizzard, I get a pretty good Warehouse, like all things considered. I just have to hit this Blizzard. Blizzard misses. It's okay, Air Cutter's a good move to get. Doesn't do anything. Blizzard misses. And then Confuse Ray. So that was really annoying. Now, I get pretty lucky here. I actually hit the Blizzard through Confusion after all of that. But, like, I just had to hit Blizzard, man. And I would have had, like, a really solid Warehouse split. And then I snap out of Confusion, so all things considered, it wasn't too bad, but it was pretty annoying. By the way, this thing loves to explode. Luckily we didn't get it here. I have the Revive in the back in case it does happen, but... yeah, it's bad to get exploded on. It just kills you. Yeah. Explosion halves your defense, if you didn't know. It effectively does double damage. And then this is the only fight that's not bad in the Warehouse. Like, Hypnos are bad because of Swagger. The second fight is bad because of Rock Tomb making you slow and then Vileplume sleeping you. Third fight is bad because you have to hit the Blizzard on Golbat, Confuse Ray, and, like, Weezing can explode on you. This fight, you just spam surf. If you have... I believe if you have 23 speed or lower, Electrode is speed tied with you, and like it's faster than you at 21 speed. So if your speed is bad, then the Electrode can hit you. I restrict my IVs so that my speed is always fast enough to outspeed that Electrode. I just didn't want to deal with that. And yeah, made it through Warehouse. And, I mean, look at the splits. I saved a minute on PB. I lost, what, 50 seconds almost to World Record. World Record gets an insane Warehouse. I messed up my repel timings on this split, so... Normally your repel wears out by then, but I messed up the timings a bit, so it didn't quite wear out yet. See, there it wears out. And so now that we've done this, by the way, the time save was from teleporting there. From the warehouse back to one island. Without Abra, you have to fly to 5 island and then boat back here, which is quite slow. So now that we've done all the Sevi stuff, we can go straight to the Elite Four, but we're going to go get Mewtwo first. Yep. Cerulean Cave is really annoying because a lot of the wild encounters outlevel you. So the max repel isn't guaranteed to work. It was better to repel earlier than where I did right there because I was already in that menu to escape rope anyway. You want to try to combine things into the same menu when you can. But my repel was still active, so... So every step in here, it's possible for me to get an encounter. And there are a couple really bad ones. I have to get a max elixir right here. This is a flex max elixir. I used an elixir before Giovanni. So I had to get that one. If you don't use that elixir earlier, you can skip that max elixir. You need two elixirs for Mewtwo, basically. Now, I make it really far through this cave before I get an encounter. Like, that almost makes it to the water. Well, Mewtwo is better because of its level. It's level 70, which is really good. By the way, Electrode fast as fuck. Really hard to run away from. Super annoying to encounter it. And then I get a second encounter here, which is really unlucky. I never get good encounter like your record gets 0 encounters, by the way, because of course it does. Well, the old record that I'm comparing against here. Yeah, Mewtwo we get at level 70, which is really nice, and then it comes with Psychic, comes with Safeguard, which is actually, we use that for Lance. Talk about that later. And then we teach it Earthquake and Fire Blast. So it gets a really strong moveset. And that's what the Master Ball is for. I wish I got a shiny Mewtwo, because even though it would lose time, I could clickbait the fuck out of that. Yeah, so I'm teaching Earthquake to Mewtwo. So, I'll talk about Mewtwo stats really quickly. Mewtwo stats are random. Yep, we have no way to really to RNG manipulate them consistently. It's also not worth it. You don't need your Mewtwo to be that good. The only stats that really matter are attack and special attack. And you just need them to be not terrible. Your special attack is important for two-shotting Lorelei's things with Psychic. And you also need to one-shot Champ's Heracross if Heracross lives, it kills you from full with Mega Horn. So you need your special attack to be good enough for those things. And then your attack only matters for Champ, and it's mostly important for one-shotting Arcanine. Again, things can get bad if Arcanine doesn't die in one Earthquake. Anyway, at this point, I'm about a minute ahead of world record when you factor in the encounter. So at this point, I know this is pretty likely to record. I strangely wasn't nervous here. I don't know why. I normally get nervous when I get pace into Elite Four at the end, but I wasn't nervous here. I think I just expected something to go wrong. Because I've been here, you know, I've run this category for so long. It's really nice. That was a very, very good roll on Dugong. So I'm pretty confident that my special attack is quite good here. It's at least good enough for what I need it for. Also, Dugong double teamed. You have to hit a Psychic through that. It can also Signal Beam, I think. It's an interesting move that it has. Anyway, we have to hit 4 Fire Blasts in the Elite Four. 2 of them on... one for Piloswine, 1 for Jinx, and then there's 2 Steelixes on Bruno's fight. That's the only thing we need Fire Blast for. If you have bad special attack, Lapras can live 2 Psychics. Might even be possible for Dugong to live 2 Psychics if your special attack is bad enough. I don't know. But the really important thing is you don't one-shot... like, Heracross is a range. And like I said, if Heracross lives, it just kills you from full with Mega Horn. That's not irrecoverable, but it's certainly not good. Yeah, like, that's a very strong roll on Lapras. So I'm super confident in my special attack here. I looked it up after the run. This is actually a gentle nature. It's minus defense plus special defense. So it's actually neutral in terms of both attacking stats. But I probably have, like, at least 24 IV special attack. I never bothered to check what my IVs actually were. But when I level up here, I'm going to get a look at my attack stat. I'm going to speed this back up. This fight, I have to hit the 2 Fire Blasts on these Steelixes, which I hit all 4 of my Fire Blasts, which is really nice. And now the record is, like, really likely, by the way. And then you just Psychic the rest of these things. And so if you look at my stats here, come on. Oh, went past it. Hello? There we go. 162 attack, 241 special attack. That is really good special attack, not great attack. Now, Fire Blast is 85% accurate, and you only have to hit 4 of them in total. 2 on each fight. You only have to hit 2 of them on each fight. You're really likely to hit both. And it's generally okay if you miss one. It's not a huge deal. If you miss more than one, it starts becoming a problem. But so I made it past the Fire Blasts, which are the biggest spot to lose time before Champ. And I'm still over a minute ahead of record. So I'm like, at this point, literally the only thing I'm thinking about is my attack stat. 162 is not very good. And so I'm like looking ahead to my Champ fight and trying to see, okay, what ranges do I have? How bad is this? And it turns out I end up with something like I think it's a 10 and 16 range. No, it's an 8 and 16 range to outright kill the Arcanine. And then it's like a 14 and 16 range to kill it with the Sandstorm tick, because there's Sandstorm going on in the Champ fight. So I'm like, oh god, it's a range at this point. So I'm not happy with that attacking stat. Well, he sends out a Tyranitar, which has Sandstream. So there's always sand going on in the champ fight. This fight, you have to X special to one-shot the Mischievous. If you don't X spec, you put it in heal range, which you don't want. If you're out of specs, you can Fire Blast to deal some chip damage, but spec is better, obviously. Okay, so now the Lance fight is really fun. So the way that his AI is programmed is his Gyarados knows Thunder Wave. And if you're not statist, he wants to use Thunder Wave on you to paralyze you. But our Mewtwo knows Safeguard. So that blocks the Thunder Wave. But the AI isn't smart enough to see that we have Safeguard. So it just spams Thunder Wave. And doesn't do anything. If you have really, really good special attack, you can do 2 specs here. I had 241 at level 71. You need like at least 248 in order to do that strat. Ideally like 250 plus. So not quite good enough. But I just got a standard fight here. Unfortunately, the Gyarados is not guaranteed to Thunder Wave. It can also Dragon Dance. And if it Dragon Dances more than once, things start getting dicey. But we just got a standard fight where he just spams Thunder Wave. And so now this fight is over. You know, you just spam Psychic. And so now it all comes down to Champ. And I'm just terrified of Arcanine right now. Because I do not want to lose this record after making it so far. And I've grinded this category so hard. And I've made it this far. And Champ is not a free fight. Arcanine can lose you time. Gyarados can crit you. Arcanine can crit you. Alakazam has like a 2% chance to use Reflect on every turn. And if he uses Reflect on any of them, it's so bad. Because we're using Earthquake in this fight. So Earthquake is actually not new at this point, but the old strat didn't use Earthquake. We actually taught Shockwave to Mewtwo, and we would use Specs for this fight. And then Gunnar died to this fight like 5 times in a row. So he and Exarion labbed an Earthquake fight. Because he was so tired of dying to this fight. Anyway, we have to set up 3 X attacks. I'm going to slow this back now. Alakazam can use Calm Mind, he can use Psychic, and you can use Shadow Ball. Ideally, we just get Calm Minds, because, you know, that doesn't do anything for us. Like, if he's Psychics, we're dead to a Psychic crit here. That's the scary thing right now. Luckily, we get the best outcomes. We get 3 Calm Minds. We don't get Reflect on any of the turns. We just get 3 Calm Minds. And literally, at this point, it all comes down to Arcanine. That's all that matters at this point. Tyranitar just dies. Gyarados is a 2-shot, but it can't do any real damage to us. Venusaur just dies. It all comes down to Arcanine at this point. And the annoying thing is, because of Sandstorm, every extra turn loses a lot of time. Because the Sandstorm ticks are really slow. And so I have a minute buffer. I'm pretty confident this is going to get record. But what's annoying is if I miss that Arcanine range, which is like 13 and 16, 14 and 16, something around there, to get it with the Sandstorm tick. If I miss that range, I could just keep getting Sandstorm ticks adding up, and you know, the champ heals if it lives, and so like that can lose a lot of time. So I'm like, oh please, I just need to get the Arcanine range. It's the last thing in this run. Gyarados uses Dragon Dance, we're still faster because Mewtwo is cracked. But it's like, oh please, just get this Arcanine range. And the reason it's a range is because we have 2 Intimidates on us right now. So we're only at +1 attack. And it's like, please, just get this Arcanine range. And not only do I get the Arcanine range, I don't even need the extra Sandstorm tick. I get the tougher 8 and 16 range, I think it was. I think my Mewtwo had 2 attack IV or lower. But we got the Arcanine range, and that's the run. All that's left is, you know, the victory lap. But yeah, that's FireRed round 2. I think this is a really cool category. Having to catch 60 unique Pokemon makes it really unique. The only category that's similar to it is Let's Go Pikachu Eevee. But even then, the categories still feel completely different. Because Let's Go is basically only about the catches. None of the fights matter. Aside from, like, Archer Double. But this game, the catches are a really crucial part of it. But it's not everything. It's a nice balance, I think. But yeah. That is my FireRed Round 2 post-commentary. Hope you guys enjoyed it.